Hi, I'm Brent Stafford, and this is Reg Watch by RegulatorWatch.com, the only platform dedicated to watching the watchers. Fear-mongering. That's what some say is happening around the LNG tanker debate in British Columbia. Opponents are braying over the $1.6 billion wood fiber LNG project, a modest-sized liquefied natural gas processing and export facility set to be located southwest of Squamish, BC. The wood fiber application is currently under regulatory review at the BC Environmental Assessment Office, and the public debate is ongoing. Alarm is being raised over the safety of LNG tankers as they navigate the waters through Howe Sound to get to and from the proposed facility. Chief among the complainants are a small group of vocal residents who live in some of the most wealthy and privileged communities in British Columbia. The most aggressive voice hails from this small private island, nestled between Bowen and Lions Bay.
Twice as big, twice as wide, twice as tall as a BC ferry. And with a stopping, you can't stop these things less than about 8 kilometers once you get them rolling.
Meet Dr. Owen Finn. He's been leading a coordinated information war against wood fiber LNG, but his critics say it's misinformation, and he's pushing opinion passed off as fact.
This tanker, each of them, and there'll be about 40 of them a year going up and down the Sound, each carry enough thermal power to equate to about 70 Hiroshima-sized atom bombs.
It's jaw-dropping statements like these that have prompted RegulatorWatch.com to examine Dr. Finn's statements. Equating the potential hazards of LNG tankers with atomic bombs is preposterous. This reporter has spent the last 2 years researching and writing about LNG, and based on a comprehensive review of the facts, it appears many of Dr. Finn's statements are misleading and potentially calculated to deliberately arouse public fear and alarm.
A release of about 60,000 tons from one of these tankers of LNG would form a low cloud which the wind would blow in the direction of some fairly populated centers like West Vancouver, Bowen Island, and the island that I live on, and would, if ignited, and anything will ignite it, wipe out most of the population within several kilometers of a major spill.
Dr. Finn has made statements like these in dozens of presentations to community groups and local governments, influencing votes to ban LNG tankers. This is his presentation to the Bowen Island Municipal Council this past February. He paints a dire picture. This slide is central to Dr. Finn's argument. It refers to the potential hazard of an LNG spill over water. The alarming headline warns that a spill would be lethal to a nearby population. Dr. Finn presents this as fact and notates the source as the U.S. Department of Energy's Sandia National Laboratories, which is the world leader in LNG hazard research. Here is the exact same slide, but in its original form, found in a Sandia presentation. It appears Dr. Finn copied it in its entirety and then altered it by inserting the lethal headline with erroneous citations. This absolute statement that a spill would be lethal to a nearby population is an inaccurate exaggeration and cannot be found in any of the Sandia materials Dr. Finn cites, including 250 pages of findings going back to 2004. The Sandia reports are comprehensive and do outline potential hazards, which in extreme cases are significant. However, a balanced reading shows that with risk mitigation, safety precautions, and strong regulatory oversight, LNG tankers are safe. You can find Dr. Finn's presentation and all of the research referenced in this story on the Watch page for the BC Environmental Assessment Office at RegulatorWatch.com. Joining us today to help unpack some of the misinformation around LNG tankers is Captain Stephen Brown, President of the Chamber of Shipping of British Columbia. Stephen, welcome. Your trade association represents the players across the length and breadth of the marine industry here in BC, correct?
Yes, we do. We represent the ship owners doing business here in British Columbia, the shipping agents that represent most of the ships that call in our ports. We represent the pilots. We represent the tugboats that provide service. We represent maritime lawyers, classification societies, but last but certainly not least, we represent most of the major ports here in British Columbia.
So when it comes to marine safety, you're at the heart of it.
Well, we would like to think so. We're very well connected into the international organizations from where a lot of Canadian legislation is derived. And we work very, very closely with those government departments in Canada that have the responsibility for implementation of those regulations.
Captain Brown, you recently penned a column in the province newspaper stating that some LNG critics are fear-mongering. Can you explain that?
There is an awful lot of fear-mongering, and that is to say misinformation out in the public sphere with respect to the transportation of LNG. Unfortunately, so much of what the general public is listening to and subjected to is opinion. And all we're trying to do basically is share with people what are the facts. And we would really like people to make up their minds based on objective facts rather than people's opinions.
So when you say opinions, are we talking about opinion being passed off as fact?
Unfortunately, that is the case. So much opinion is being promulgated as facts. Now, the people that are promulgating, they know that this is a personal opinion, but it's being shaped as facts. And unfortunately, it's very misleading.
Is Dr. Finn at the epicenter?
No disrespect to Mr. Finn, he's entitled to his opinions, but I don't think he is entitled to share those opinions as facts. And unfortunately, that's what's happening. Much of what Mr. Finn is stating in the public domain is incorrect. These are facts that, that we believe Mr. Finn has researched and inaccurately translated, understood, and is pushing them out into the public sphere in a way that tries to make them sound credible.
It seems that most of the concerns are based on extreme what-if scenarios.
Well, I think you have to look at the record of the industry. And whilst there's a lot of fear-mongering about the safety record of the industry, let's just talk about the facts. As things stand today, here in 2015, more than 80,000 voyages have been completed successfully. So the suggestion that the first incident would happen here in British Columbia under the sort of circumstances that the fearmongers are trying to have people believe is really out of order.
In your mind, Stephen, what is the biggest misrepresentation that's been made?
It has been suggested that these vessels are floating time bombs. But I think you have to ask yourself the question, is the Lloyd's insurance market that's been around since the 1700s really in the business of insuring ships that are floating bombs? The answer is absolutely no. So let's deal with the facts. Let's come back to basics and let's stop all the fear-mongering based on opinion, and let's look at the actual unblemished safety record of the LNG industry.
Well, there's a lot more to this story to unpack, so stay tuned for another edition of Reg Watch, where we'll dive deeper into the misinformation and motivations behind opposition to LNG tankers in BC. And that's it for this edition of Reg Watch. Before you head off, please like us on Facebook and don't forget to follow us on Twitter. For RegulatorWatch.com, I'm Brent Stafford.